Greetings and welcome to this video on how to do basic research in music and music theater online through Carthage College. Okay, here we are at the main Carthage homepage. First you want to go to Tools and then go to Library. From this main page, you're really going to want to scroll down even past the library tile there and go to where it says Search the Hedberg Library Catalog. Now this isn't going to just take you to the catalog, but it's going to take you to our Live Guides page, which is essentially Research Central for anything that you would want to do research-wise at Carthage. So it's your sort of your portal, if you will. This is accessible from on campus or off campus or anywhere else that you think you are. All right, so let's get started. First of all, there is a box here to search in the Carthage catalog, and we'll come back to that in just a few moments. But we're going to start by clicking on Subject and Class Guides. These are organized by subject. If you scroll down, you'll see the list in alphabetical order because, well, it's a library on the right-hand side. So we're going to scroll down to the M's until we can find music. Click on Music. All right, we are going to go ahead and use the Music Theater Research Guide for right now. Click on that. There's my picture. If you'd like to set up an appointment to talk to me about how to find more specific things in your area, you can click the Book Now link right here. This is aware of my Carthage Google Calendar, and you can set up an appointment. Then I'll send you a Zoom link because right now we're doing all of our reference appointments remotely. All right, but meanwhile, you'll notice the tabs across the top. Normally they're kind of hard to see. Most people are tab blind, but we're on the one that says Journals and Databases right now. There's a separate one for audio and film, separate one for print book and ebooks, which is sort of featured things, if you will, and another one for tutorials, which I'll click on right now, which will include at some point this video and a number of other videos such as finding musical scores, finding videos, and finding specific journals by title. But let's go back and assume that we're going to do some basic research right now. All right, so we're going to start off. Part of the trick of this is to find the right keywords, right, to give you the right things that you're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and search the catalog first for contemporary Broadway musicals. I know that sometimes you're not necessarily only interested in the contemporary ones, but we're going to be looking at trying to find the right keywords to find the right stuff. And this I found was a good place to start. So a couple of things that you'll always notice. One is that it will always find things that are here in the Carthage library before it finds things that are available other places, and that it will usually put books before articles. So you're going to want to go ahead and scroll down here to see the kinds of things that you can see. One of the things that we can do as well is that we can scroll down here and we can stipulate that we only want things that are within the last 5 years. In other words, things that were written within the last 5 years. All right, that is super helpful in our situation right now because if you're looking at sort of modernizing and making improvements, as it were, to musical theater, this might be a helpful thing. All right, so let's take a look at this first thing. We know that Hamilton was one of the things that actually was done sort of colorblind, if you will, and that's a word that we're going to pick up here in a few minutes. But even if this isn't what you're interested in, let's take a look and see if it can help us find other things. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. You'll notice that it is a print book, but it's also an ebook. So an ebook will be available from wherever you're at, in the US, outside the US, on campus, off campus, and so on. Before we actually click to view the ebook, one of the things that we're going to want to do is see information about this. So if I click on View Description, this will tell me how many pages and things like that, but it also tells me what the different chapters are called. So we can look through here and see, for example, that there's a section in here on race-conscious casting and the erasure of the Black past in Hamilton, and so on and so on. So if I'm going to look for information on casting and race later on, I can click now on View the ebook. Reading the table of contents just helps me get an idea if this source is going to be something that's going to be helpful to me. Even if you decide that it's not, you can still learn some things, such as how to use an ebook. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on View the PDF full text. The only time you would want to download something is if you really needed it on your laptop, because then you're going to take it somewhere where you don't have internet access. Okay, once you download it, it will be available to you on your own laptop. Okay, so here I am in this ebook, just accessing it online. It's not on my computer at this point, but I can do search within, and I can look for something like colorblind casting. There's a space. Okay, and that will show me all of the places in the book where it talks about colorblind casting. And I can click on that, and it will take me to that part of the book. And I can read about this in specific, about Hamilton and their colorblind casting, quote unquote. Now, all I'm really trying to figure out right now is if that is going to be a good term to use as a keyword for searching for other things. So right now I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm going to show you another resource. I could also go back to the catalog and type in colorblind casting, but before that, I do that. If you're really looking for things that are brand new, very new, Google Scholar is a great way to find those. So I'm going to bring up Google Scholar, and I'm going to type in colorblind casting and Broadway. Okay, because I'm interested in musical theater. I could also type in musical theater and so forth. Now, there is actually some kind of a law case or something that happened with anti-discrimination, colorblind casting in Broadway theater. Hofstra.edu has something about that. So does Hein Online, the same thing. So you could certainly click on that and read about that. I'm going to scroll down a little bit farther to find you. Here's also another article called There's No Business Like Show Business, Abandoning Colorblind Casting and Embracing Color Conscious Casting. So maybe that's a keyword that you would want to use. Okay, color conscious casting in American theater. Anything that's got something listed over here on the right is something that if I clicked on it, should be able to open right up and show me the whole PDF of the whole article for that. So here's the article. Let me note for you that one of the tricks in doing research is to take an existing source that you find and parlay that into multiple sources. And the way to do that largely is to look for the footnotes and things that are at the ends of the chapters and the sources that are listed within this. Also, another beautiful thing about Google Scholar is that you'll notice here, actually, let's look for another example because this one doesn't say it. But let's take a look at this one. The welcome table, casting for an integrated society. This is from Johns Hopkins University Press. That's what jhu.edu stands for. So let's go ahead and click on that. It should open in Project Muse because that is the database that's created by Johns Hopkins University Press. I'm going to go ahead and accept the cookies. That's fine. Okay, so this is an article called The Welcome Table, Casting for an Integrated Society. And it is from a journal up here called Theater Topics. So one of the things that you can do is once you find one good article, okay, you can go down, and we talked about this afterwards, find the citations that should be at the end of the article. Let's move on down here. And see if, for example, any of these things at the bottom, make it a little bit bigger so we can see it, are helpful in any way. Okay, so here was something by the Asian American Performers Action Coalition that might be helpful. There's a journal called Black Masks that has something, a director's work rethinking non-traditional casting. You should be able to click on that and find it in Google Scholar. So this one, however, doesn't have all of it doesn't actually have a PDF associated with it, right? It's just a citation. You would need to go ahead and take this, see if we can find it. Go ahead and press Control C. I'm going to remember that the author's name is Banks. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to the catalog, type in Banks, which was the author's name, press Control V. There's my article. See what we're doing here? We're following sort of this string, right? This thread, if you will, and turning one source into others. Now I'm not seeing this particularly here, so I should switch this from library to best match because probably our library does not have it. And I'm not seeing it right now in here. This would be a good time to go ahead and email me if you don't think you can find it somewhere else. You might be able to just Google it. Let's go ahead and open Google. But if nothing quite turns it up, then give me a shot and I might be able to find the thing that you need. Okay. Once on this island, an exploration of non-traditional casting might not be the same thing, but might be just as helpful. That's on academia.edu. You may be able to email the author for it. That way, the welcome table is the thing that we were in originally, right? Oh, look at there. Okay. So here we're maybe going to find it with an abstract. There's no abstract, whatever. You can request the full text. That would go to Daniel Banks, and he would get an email from you, make up a good story, tell him a good story, right? I'm a graduate student at Carthage College. I really need your article because I think that it's really going to be helpful. Actually, though, this welcome table, Casting for an Integrated Society, is the one that we were looking at. Let's back up a little bit here. Okay, stopping. So we're going to throw this into Google, and right now we're seeing a lot about the welcome table. That's the one that we saw already. Here's a reference to one, the theater's resistance to non-traditional casting. That's in JSTOR. We'll probably have access to that too. Let's go ahead and click it. Again, you're seeing how we follow this string, right? So this is going to want you to log in through your school or library. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second to get this one. So let's leave this one open. Meanwhile, I want to go back to Google Scholar. Looks like we closed it. And find the one that we were looking at just a minute ago. Colorblind Casting on Broadway. So let's go down and find the one that was on JHU, which was the welcome table. And notice that this says cited by 29. That means that 29 newer articles or sources, books, whatever, have cited this particular article called the welcome table. So I can go ahead and click on those 29 and I will find the newer things. But do we have the actors for that? Some principles for practicing staging Latinx plays in the university theater context. That's more about plays than musical theater, but I think you might find it helpful. And so on and go on down. All right, so now let's mentally make a note of this one. Let's actually holding back the theater's resistance to non-traditional casting. Control C. Now I'm going to go back to my my live guides page, and I'm going to actually go ahead. I know that it's in JSTOR, so I'm going to say all electronic resources. Sorry if this looks a little disjointed here. I'm going to click on the J for JSTOR because I know where it's going to be found. Okay. I'm going to keep scrolling down until I get to JSTOR. You don't want to just try to go to jstore.org. You need to go through the library catalog through that LiveGuides page, or it's going to want you to log in until the cows come home and you won't have a login. This way you're going to get that one login, which is just your Carthage user ID and password. It's going to do it to you once, and once you're logged into the proxy, you're home free. You can do all this kind of stuff. All right, so now holding back the theater's resistance to non-traditional casting. And look at that, there's a download button, but I want to read a little bit about it first. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, make sure it really is what I need. And here it is, in here. Okay, you could have equally well taken this title, Holding Back Theater's Resistance to Non-Traditional Casting, gone back to the catalog page and pasted it in there. But sometimes if you know that it's going to be in JSTOR, just go ahead and charge ahead into JSTOR and look for it there. All right, so I think that gives you a good enough start. Just remember, don't just look for one thing, search again, look for a second thing, search again, look for a third thing. Make sure that once you find the first thing, that you look and see what that first thing is attached to. Did its author write something else? Is there something else? This is from, what journal is it? TDR. I'm not quite sure what that journal is, but I could go to this particular journal and the drama review, okay? And I could look within that particular journal for other articles. You could look for the citations from one article to the next. You could look at what other articles cited this one. So lots of ways to turn one source into many sources. Good luck. And again, if you need some help with anything, like you find an article, you find the citation for the article, the name, the author, etc., but you can't find the article itself, give me a shout out, send it to me. You should be able to get it through Interlibrary Loan, but sometimes you can't find it that way. I will work my hardest to find it for you. Thanks so much.